that says it was a four-way standoff. Each of the four emperors had such great power that it was nearly impossible for any of them to destroy the others. If any of them actually had won such a war, the victory would come at a very high price. Yes, I know, I know. I have way more stuff than this. This is just the kickoff.
Okay,
So
sure.
this is the first thing that I'll be saying in order to say that the Yonko are relative in terms of, or equal practically in terms of power, if not Whitebeard slightly above. And I know the statement
Not
referred to
individual
war.
strength, not individual strength, but yeah.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would say that this is in terms of war then.
I'm drawing the equal interpretation that this would be in war, for example. It literally states if any of them actually won such a war, so that's why I'm drawing.
Yeah,
that
it's fine if you want to
interpretation.
say that the Yonkos with their crew are equal in strength. You know, obviously it doesn't mean that they also can't be individually equal.
Yeah.
If they were to be in a war, hypothetically, since they are the strongest of the crews, they would fight each other because no one else can manage them. We see Kaido's small users plus we see Kyle Small users plus Big Mom's children, and you know her random fodder troops are being able to be knocked out by things such as Conqueror's Hockey, stuff like that. These big numbers wouldn't matter in terms of a war. We know Big Mom's own children can't stop her during her like weekend hunger. What was it called? Hunger pain phases, like when she gets super amped up or whatever it is because she doesn't get any sweets or something. And we also know that Kaido's top tier commanders like Queen can't even stop Big Mom when they're at full power, stuff like that. But it's okay. I'll just use this as like a, back at point. I'll get into the scans that would prove individual power.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, sure,
Okay,
no
sure,
problem.
sure. You can
Here.
talk about individual power.
Yeah, sure. Right. Let me get the scans for that right now. Here, these two.
There are many powers on the sea as stars in the sky, and the most powerful of them, they rule over the new world together. They're called Deej, who is KO, one of them for more. Okay, they're so on that level.
Statements that these are just direct statements that the Yonko are the strongest powers individually as well. So it's not just in terms of war or their crews, etc. They'd also be.
So this shows that they're the strongest individual powers. That is not, they're equal to each other individually, right?
All right, perfect. I'm glad that you said that. Continue.
Okay, now let's continue.
All right. I'm just going to send multiple scans at once.
Go ahead.
All right. There's like a lot more of this. Where is it? Okay, here's just the next thing. And this isn't like in and of itself, I would say prove individual power, but it just adds the overall narrative. So first we see that Garp says Shanks is on the same level as Whitebeard, and he's talking, the context for this is he's talking about the balance of power throughout the world. And if you want to say that it's just him and his crew, once again, I'll just refer back to the thing that I said, in which in a war, the Yonko would fight each other because they're the strongest. And we've seen instances of them clashing with each other. But I'll get back to them clashing, later on. But I just want to add an extra point of narrative real quick, in which Whitebeard is like the person that you compare other pirates to.
Okay.
What?
Hold on. Before I get shotgunned. Like,
yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay,
shotgunned?
So
what did I say about?
No, I said before I get shotgunned. I never said you shotgunned.
All right, sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so let me just like reconfirm everything we've gone over. Okay, so the first scan, we agreed that I make the interpretation that they in a war they would be equal. Did you steelman that? What's your position?
Steelman that? Yeah, I was just saying that it's fine if you want to say that they are equal in terms of them and their crews in a war, because it doesn't diminish the fact that they're also equals individually. Off of that statement, and then I brought up the point why they would fight each other and why they would go 1-to-1.
Okay, yeah. For the other two scans, I didn't agree to them being 1-to-1. What I said was, let me reconfirm my stances for all of these, okay?
Sure.
Because I feel like you kind of misunderstood me, but
all right, go ahead.
So for the first scan, I stated that this would obviously be in reference to war. He said that's fine. Interpreting or like alluding to agreements in this for the scan for just the skin, just this.
Well, I just want to I feel like that's kind of like an oversimplification, because I did bring in, I can send the scans for the points I was about to say for that, but I brought up the reasoning as to why, if in a war, the Yonko would clash like one-on-one with each other, and if the statement says that it would come to a very high casualty, we know that it's not going to be like an easy fight for any of them. Let me just send another scan. Like Kaido, even like in the data book, it says that Kaido's waiting for a chance to take down the other emperors. He's not like easily going to be beating them or even like mid-diffing any of them, or it's like It's gonna be like an
Wait, hold on.
extreme diff battle, no matter which Yonko are fighting each other in terms of this
Okay,
1v1.
okay,
And I'll send
hold
the
on.
I'll
All
send the
right,
translation for this.
let
Okay.
me hold on.
Here, I'll send.
Because you
Yeah, you
completely
can take your
wait,
time.
hold on.
Take your time.
Yeah,
Take
yeah,
your time.
because you completely like just jumped off from that. So I want
Go
to
ahead.
just
Yeah.
like I said for that
Yeah.
specific statement,
Sure.
right?
Sure. Sure.
That could be reference to war. So
If
fine.
you think so, I disagree.
Didn't you say that's fine in terms of
Well, I'm
agreements?
saying like, I would say
You
like it's
said
not
that's fine
only
and
in
then
terms of
moved
war.
on.
I said it can be. Yeah. Fine. I'll just say this. It
Yeah,
can
it
be,
can be, and then
but
we
even if
drew,
it
and then
is,
we drew.
all
Okay,
right.
yeah, and then we drew interpretations, and then you said,
All right. That's fine. Yeah. That's fine.
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay. For the second and third scans, basically, individually speaking, they are the strongest pirates. Okay, and then I said that's fine. However, this still
Okay.
doesn't prove that they're equal to each other. They can be on a realm of their own. However, that doesn't inherently imply that they're relative to each other. That's the interpretation I drew from that scan.
Okay, if you want to say that there's the strongest pirates individually, that's fine with
Yep.
me because I'm going to be
Okay.
showing that there's a preponderance of evidence that they're all regarded as on the exact
Mm.
same tier.
Yep.
Like I said earlier, and I'll send scan for this, like once we continue, because I don't want to jump points, they clash with each other many different times. Like this scan that I just sent, Kaido's waiting for a day to take down another one of the emperors,
Wait.
etc.
No, because now I
Yeah,
could
sure.
reconfirm the first three. Let's go to the
Yep,
fourth.
sure, that's fine.
Okay,
That's fine with me.
so the fourth one, we agreed that this scan could push either of our arguments. And since you fell into agreement from the first scan, that sure that could be in reference to war. That's why I'm like drawing the interpretation from this scan that this could easily also be in reference to war. Next.
Okay, it's fine if you want to say that because
Yeah.
I have. All right, you want?
Yeah, now let me bring up this
We can go
brand new
back to this.
refutation. Now let me bring the now for this brand new point. Let me
These
state
aren't
this.
brand new points. These are all adding to like the larger points that the Yonko are shown to
Brand
be
new sub points, brand new pieces of evidence. Is that fine? I'm sorry, I didn't
whatever you
mean
want
to.
to call it, man.
Okay, yeah, brand new pieces of evidence. Okay, the powerful pirate is one of the four emperors, as is this powerful pirate is one of the four emperors, as is Whitebeard and Shanks. He has a
Mm-hmm.
reputation for being ambitious and is waiting for
And
an
just
opportunity to get rid of the other emperors.
before you address that, I just wanted to say that like you said, they're the strongest pirates individually, but there's nothing showing like tying them together as being like equal. This is
Mm-hmm.
just like another like larger point of the narrative that they're regarded as the same tier of strength, referring directly to combat ability. Like
Okay.
as is Whitebeard and Shanks, and then the scan earlier, which I said from Garp, in which it says Shanks is on the same level as Whitebeard. Now, I know you said that we can push our individual interpretations, but I'm just going to say that I think mine is, better supported, and there'll be more scans later on to prove this. But continue.
Yeah. Okay. Um. So again, you can say whatever you want about like how these scan support your interpretation because they support both of our interpretations just as equally, right? And I'm gonna
I would
explain why
disagree with
this
that.
scan. Okay, we can get to that later, but now let me explain why this scan would also help push my argument. I would say.
All right, go ahead.
So basically, he has a reputation for being ambitious and is waiting for an opportunity to get rid of the other emperors. Okay, this could easily just be in reference to the emperors and their crew because when you get rid of an emperor, you would also have to like fight their entire crew. Like that's what is consistently shown. For example, let's say
It's
Blackbeard
also
versus
All right, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah,
Blackbeard
it's also.
versus let's say Marco's crew and whatever. Like Blackbeard's crew versus
Wait,
Marco's
wait,
crew.
wait,
It's just
wait,
like yeah.
wait. What about Blackbeard and Marco's crew?
Yeah, so basically, no, I was just drawing an example of like if Yonkos would want to get rid of other Yonkos, they would have to like just completely destroy their crew or like fight them full on because there's no way Yonko's gonna go 1-on-1 with
Okay,
another
this is
Yonko in a
just.
full on war. Yeah, get rid of
Okay,
another
this is.
Yonko.
Oh, this is just drawing back to the point in which we said we would leave it to our own individual interpretations. In which, if in a war, like the whole constant theme of war, the Yonko would fight each other in a 1v1, and we see this also throughout like many different aspects of the series in which captains of their crew, the strongest of each crew, go up against the strongest of the other crew. Remember
Also true.
during Alabasta, Baroque Works arc, we see Luffy go against Crocodile. We see Zoro go against Mr. One, Sanji against Mr. Two, etc. We see Roger
Okay.
always fighting against Whitebeard, like such like that. And that also would draw me into my next point of the argument, in which we
Okay.
see Yonko constantly fighting and clashing with each other. Okay.
Okay.
Give me a
Now I
second
want
to
you to hold on
screenshot
to
these
that.
scans.
Okay, now I want you to hold
Wait,
on to
what?
that because no, I said now I want you to hold on to that thought.
Why?
So no, because I'm about to make my argument. That's what I said.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. Well,
Okay.
no, no. I
So
just want to say that like we're
mhm,
both pushing interpretation, sure. And I'm just gonna send a scan right now, and then you can
yeah,
address it, and you can address it if you want.
yeah.
That
That
would
are.
further prove my claim.
Uh,
All right.
let's see.
Here, let me just send this. Let me just send the scans that follow this. Okay. This is all just for the same point. Okay. So just
Big
give me a
Mom
second. All right.
versus
I don't
Kaido.
like
Oh, are you gonna show
I
the
don't like
Westboud versus
rushing
Shanks
scans.
clash?
I can as well. Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, you can do
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
But my point first is, it's better just to
Mhm.
show the Kaido versus Big Mom. They fought for at least 12 hours. There's clear signs of being equal to each other. None of them took down each other. We know that they're fighting hard because Kaido's crew said he wanted to evacuate the island. It's not in character for either of them to like pull their punches or hold back against each other because they have such great respect for them, or such great respect for each other, I should say.
That's fine,
So
but
you
like
said
we
there's
see.
nothing. Yeah, you said there's nothing tying the Yonko to being equal to each other in terms of power. This is exactly
I was
showing
talking
this
about the second and third
showing
scans.
equal power. I know.
Yeah, I
I'm
was
just
talking about
saying.
the
You said
second and third
generally
scans.
from those. This would be evidence
Yeah.
proving that those scans would be referring to individual fights as well as, if you want to say, entire fights with their crews. So it's both.
Okay.
All
Wait.
right,
So you
go ahead.
just agreed that it was both
No, I said Yonkos
entire
and their
crews?
crews are. Wait a second.
Mm-hmm.
Let me finish, please. Let me answer. Yonkos and their
Yeah.
crews
Okay.
can be equal to each other, but it also prove, which is the both, that the individual Yonkos are equal to each other in terms of fighting ability, or just I should say strength for now. So that's what I meant
Okay.
by both.
So now let me bring up my refutation.
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, this is base Kaido fighting Big Mom. So yeah, they could be like not pulling their punches. However, there's a difference between going completely all out and not
We
holding
see them.
back.
We
For
see them
example,
starting off.
hold on, no, no,
Go ahead. Go
hold on,
ahead. Go ahead.
hold
Go
on.
ahead. Go
So,
ahead.
for example, let's say, I'm in a car. Okay, I can go 60 miles per hour normally. However, when I go into gear two, I can go, let's say, yeah, normally 90 miles per hour. So I would be, I wouldn't be holding anything back at previous to gear two, right? But I'm not going all out with the speed of my car. I'm not going at gear two, the full speed of gear two. I'm just not holding anything back within the 60 miles per hour, which is what a base car or a normal car can do. Now let me connect this to this. So basically, we see base Big Mom and base Kaido clash, and therefore from this, I would just draw the interpretation that base Kaido is relative to Big Mom, right?
Okay.
Now let
All
me
right. Let
bring
me give
up.
my.
Now let
No,
me
no, no. Let me
bring
give
my
my.
Now
Let me
let
give.
me bring up my refutation.
I want to try to
Oh,
the
okay.
claim that you just made. Okay, giving my
Go ahead.
separate interpretation. Okay. It's
Go ahead.
true that
Go
we
ahead.
see in the first scan that Big Mom and Kaido are clashing in base because that's the start of the fight. We don't know whether or not they stayed in that form, but it doesn't really matter, okay? Because the narrator statements from the first three scans that we discussed, which are once again subpoints for this whole big point that all the Yonkos are equal in terms of individual fighting power. Excuse me. It says obviously in a war there'd be high casualties, blah blah blah. In a war they would not hold back. Okay, they would go out there. They would fight at their strongest peaks. And if I were to once again tie
Okay.
this connection that the Yonko would fight each other in, I'm sorry, they'd fight each other 1v1 in a war. They wouldn't be holding back because it's a war. Then I would say it doesn't matter if we see them fighting base in this one scan. They could be also changing to their zone forms, or at least Kaido does because he has that type of fruit. But I mean, obviously, I can't assert that because we don't know for sure. But I would just say that's what
Yeah,
we
you
see
can't assert that.
generally. Kaido doesn't really hold back. It doesn't matter
Definitely.
though because
Yeah.
if they were, it doesn't matter because if they were to fight in a war, he wouldn't be holding back because we know
Yeah,
that from the
he
war that's
wouldn't.
happening right
Okay, he wouldn't
now,
be holding
he's in
back.
his hybrid form,
Now
and
then,
we know that there's
because the thing
great
is,
casualties.
yeah,
Go ahead.
you
Go
wouldn't
ahead.
you wouldn't be making this argument if I didn't like. Because the thing is, for the gear analogy I brought up, that was only for
Here.
Kaido. The scans you brought up for Kaido versus relative to Big Mom. Now I want to talk about your point about the war. Okay, in wars,
These are
we've
all.
actually
These are all. Wait a second.
we've
These are all connecting points that would give my my interpretation the more likely one, because if we see them fighting equal in base, we don't see
bro.
anything to say that they aren't also equal. What?
Alright,
What?
yeah, I'm trying to like make my argument here. Like
All right, so am
you're
I,
repeating
but
yourself. Yeah, I know you're repeating yourself.
I was thought I was
You
gonna
already
go
said
into a
this like
new
twice.
thing, but
Yeah,
all
I
right, go
know you're
ahead, whatever.
going to a new
All right,
thing
go ahead.
before I've made
Go
my
ahead. Go
argument.
ahead.
All right, thank you. Yeah,
If you're gonna give
all
a
right,
new
thank you.
argument, then go ahead, and I'll go back to it.
That's exactly what I was gonna do.
All right, then
Um,
go.
so for example, we've seen multiple wars throughout the series. For example, Ed War between Roger and Shiki. We've seen
Okay.
Marineford, which was between Whitebeard and the Navy admirals, right?
And it was also
The
with like a bunch
format.
of crews.
Okay, hold on. Whitebeard and his fleet versus the Marines, right? Right? Because those crews were part of his
Yeah,
fleet.
and like other people that came in the war, sure, too.
Yeah, I
That's
know
fine.
they were part of his fleet. Like they were
All right, go
under
ahead.
Whitebeard, kind of like Luffy and his fleet. It was the same thing with Whitebeard. Okay, so basically, the fight or like the war wasn't really structured from like Whitebeard versus the top dog individually. It was a lot of different people fighting a lot of different guys. For example, Marco was fighting Akainu sometimes. Marco was fighting Kizaru sometimes. Whitebeard fought Kizaru once, I think. Then he fought Akainu, you know? So it was not structured in a format which you gave the example of Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, and Shanks would all be like going at a four-way battle, deuce, or whatever. This isn't the case, as we've seen from Marineford. The battles aren't structured this way, and Ed War. During Ed War, it
Okay.
was actually Shiki's advantage over. He has like a large amount of ships, so it wasn't really structured from
Okay.
Roger versus
All right.
Shiki. It was more like Roger's crew versus Shiki's crew collectively, right?
Okay. First of all, that point about Shiki's crew versus Roger crew, I'm gonna get back to that later, all right? Because I do have
Okay.
contention to that. But I'd just like to say that the point about
Wait,
Marineford,
hold on.
it,
Give me a moment. I'm taking off my hoodie, so I can't really hear you.
oh, oh, okay. All right. Tell
Okay,
me
I'm
when
back.
you're back.
I'm
Okay.
back.
All right. I'll just repeat the last thing I said. The point about Shiki and Roger, I'm gonna contest that later on because it's a different point. When I started the debate, I said there's three different things I want to split it up into, so that'll be later, okay? But just to go into the point about
Yeah.
Marineford, obviously in like there's many different types of battles or wars or whatever in which they can be structured in different ways. Okay, obviously Marineford was on a much larger scale. There was all many people trying to take down many different pirates. So I'll just say that's like not inherently what the case would be. We know with Roger and Whitebeard's crew that can be interpreted as like a war between them, kind of like how Yonko would fight each other. And we know the battle between Roger and Whitebeard went on for 3 days. Right off the bat, we see Roger and Whitebeard, the strongest of their crews, going right at it head on against each other. Okay, so it's not inherently the case that it'll just be random. And I even gave the evidence earlier on when I first introduced the point about like Yonko's, like the rebuttal to Yonko's relative only in war. The reason why Kaido and Big Mom would fight against each other is because no one else is able to manage them. Okay, so just hold on for 1 second. If I could just, I'm not done with this argument yet. I'm just trying to find my scans. Okay, here we go. That's the first thing. We literally see Kaido's top tier commander's Queen not being able to manage someone as a casual big mom. He's literally scared shitless. He's thinking he's about to die. That's like an overreaction, or not necessarily an overreaction. I don't know why I said that, but like he knows that he's not even able to come close to contesting with her. And Big Mom also one shots like people like Ulti who are actively fighting against in the beginning of Wano Luffy and such like Nami's blah 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 like other top tiers like basically she's not an all-star. She's one of the Toby Robo, and they're actively contesting the all-stars. So nobody's able to manage Big Mom, even in her own crew. No one's able to manage Kaido in his own crew either. So it's logically fair to assert, like given with the Whitebeard and Roger example, that they'd go up against each other because no one else can. And I also gave the example of Alabasta, in which the weaker fight the weaker because they can't manage the stronger, and the stronger fight the stronger because why would they waste their time with the weaker?
Okay.
All right.
So that argument
Uh-huh.
is presupposing a few things.
Okay.
Probably two things actually.
Mm-hmm.
One, it's presupposing that the war between the Yonkos would be structured the same as, for example, Whitebeard and Rogers battle. Right? You're
Uh,
presupposing that.
Okay,
You're
can I give
presupposing things.
actually if I could just say one thing about that, you were saying that in a war it would be like with Marineford. So I was saying no, we see other examples of war in which it could be hypothetically like Roger and Whitebeard. So if you're saying I'm presupposing this, then you were presupposing that it would be like Marineford, which wouldn't make any sense.
No,
It's the
because
same logic.
I'm getting to that because I have more consistent evidence for that being the case, and also this wasn't a war. This was just like a short battle. This was a
Three
skirmish, like kind of
days is
like
not a short battle. It was
yeah,
longer
it's
than
not a
Marineford.
war. A
It was
war
longer
would
than
be like
Marineford.
no. A war would be like heads dropping. You know, like Roger would have gone down, Silver would have gone down, Gaban, like
Why?
somebody big would have gone down.
Just
Because
because it's
listen,
more evenly matched doesn't
at
make
the
it
end
not
of
a
this war,
war.
hold on. At the end of this war, like you could see them. They weren't like nobody was really injured, even though we had like Whitebeard and Roger and everybody else fighting.
Well, I would argue that because the admirals.
Hold on.
Well, wait. The admirals at the end of the war were barely injured. So does that mean that it wasn't a war then? That doesn't. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a war just because the crews were more evenly balanced as opposed to
I'm back.
Whitebeard's fleet versus the admirals.
Yeah, I'm back.
That wouldn't hold up logically. Did you hear what I just said?
Not really.
Want me to repeat it?
No,
All right,
but
I'll just do that real quick. It was just a sentence, okay? Just so I know you heard it. Just because it was a more even battle does not mean that it wasn't a war in and of itself, okay? I could give the argument that because the admirals weren't, or just using your logic, because the admirals weren't hurt by the end of
Mui's gotta go. Do you
Marineford,
want to
then that
striker
means
debating?
I don't know,
It's
bro.
fine. Tamaki's been listening, right? Tamaki got this. But yeah, I think
Oh wait, you said something.
I think I
You said
missed.
no.
No, just recording. Bruh. Okay.
Uh,
So basically, yeah, we can just send this to movies when we're done.
yeah,
We
that's
can
fine.
send
That's
this to
fine.
we can send this to a few judges when we're done. Right.
Okay. No. Let's just send it
Just
to
movies.
movies like we agreed
Yeah,
upon.
movies is
Okay,
fine.
just
Actually,
movies.
movies is fine.
Just
Movies is fine.
movies.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I don't want to
'Cause I know
overcomplicate
he's not
this.
biased. No, I'm moderating, by
Okay.
the way.
We'll have to
That's fine,
moderate
Tamaki.
ourselves. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Yeah, let me just reword what I meant to say. So
Okay.
basically, a
Yep.
war as like Oda, because this is the narrator, right? One Piece. What? Okay, hold on. Hold on. I got you. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Are you
What was I
are you
gonna say?
good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. I
What
don't know
was I
what you're
gonna
gonna
say?
say, but
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah. I
know.
know what
I'm sorry.
I know.
Oh.
Um. So basically, yeah. So such a war, for example, the war defined by the narrator would just be like such an extremely close battle that what is it? Let me define it. Impossible for any of them to destroy the others. If any of them actually won such a war, the victory would come at a very high price and leave them vulnerable to the remaining emperors. Like this would be like a full powered fight, right? Where like it's extremely major, you know. For example, the Marineford fight, it was extremely even.
No, I would not say that's the case because there
Yeah,
was
it was even.
barely any. No. First of all, I don't want to go off on that tangent, but I want to see first some direct response to what I just said. This was not what I previously said. So like if you could respond to that,
Oh
that'd be
yeah, what
great.
did you say?
But first of all,
What did you say? We were just respond. Repeat what you said before.
okay, I gave more specific details as to why the Yonko would fight each other in a one. I said nobody else would be able to manage them. We see yeah, literally Kaido and Big Mom could slap around their own crews and their opposing crews and knock out the random like fodder or whatever it is, like children and smile users with hockey. Here, let me send the scan for that, like Conquer's hockey. Like we see that happen in the story. So there's no reason here, well, they would go up against each other 1v1. All right, that's what I was saying. And then you said that's not necessarily the case. We see that in wars, it's not structured. And then I gave an example of Whitebeard fighting Roger, and you said that's not a war. But the definition of a war is just a state of armed conflict between groups or nations. Obviously, these aren't nations; they're groups, but that doesn't mean anything. And this fight lasted way longer than Marineford. And I said, just because it was more evenly balanced than Marineford was, that doesn't make it not applicable in this situation.
Oh, and I also have a question for you.
Yeah, go
Can
ahead.
you prove that Roger and Whitebeard were just like fighting the entire time? Because listen, it's consistent throughout the wars that the top dogs would just like clash with each other in the beginning, and then like later on during the war they would like fight somebody else. For example,
Wait,
Whitebeard and Akainu. Yeah, Whitebeard and Akainu. They clashed for a little bit, and then Whitebeard completely moved on, and Akainu completely moved on. It wasn't like a
He
full on
moved on
battle.
because, okay, first of
Because
all, like,
okay,
obviously, here, 1 second, obviously. Here, I just want to say, there's one top tier, in this case, being Whitebeard, and there's, like, 3 different top tiers being the Admirals, since they're all, like,
I mean
portrayed to be
Marco
on the
too.
same level. When I'm thinking, okay, whatever, that's, like, not what we're talking about right now, but sure,
Marco was
whatever.
on that level.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, whatever. Like, that's not what I'm, yeah, we can talk about that later if you want. But what I was going to say was, what I'm remembering from the war was that he hit Kainu into a ravine, and then obviously other people were attacking them and had to fight. But if we were to talk about the case such as Roger and Whitebeard, I could give precedence as to why as to why no one else would fight Whitebeard if Roger's fighting Whitebeard. Let me get the scans for you right now, okay? Just hold out for a second.
Sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. I have it scanned right here, actually.
Go ahead.
Okay. So here, he says, give up already. We've known Roger for years, and we've never once stopped him from doing what he wants. And this is backed up by the fact that when Roger first went out, when they, like, the 2 crews met, and he saw Odin, and he's like, oh, this is the samurai that I remember, the one that I wanted to, the one I've heard so much about, the one I want to fight. Roger, no, not Roger, sorry. Rayleigh and Gabon, I think that's his name, they backed out, and they let Roger do what he wanted. So I'd say, yes, it's supported by the narrative and by the statements that Roger would fight Whitebeard 1v1, and no one else would intervene. Unlike with the Marineford example.
Wait, no, they were just following their captain's orders. He said, "Move aside, I want to fight them." Yeah, he said, "Move aside, I want to fight them," and then he just moves aside for them, and then he
But in
fought
this
Odin.
case,
it wasn't Whitebeard, it was Odin. It was talking about Odin, and then they like
okay,
gladly moved aside. They were willing to fight Odin.
Wait. Can you repeat that?
What do you mean?
No, you just
They
said that it wasn't
stepped
Whitebeard, it was
aside.
Odin?
No.
Yeah, but in the instance that I'm giving during the Ed War 2, it says, give up already. We've known Roger for years. We've never once stopped him from doing what he wants. If he wants to fight Roger, no, sorry. If he wants to
We're
fight
talking about
Whitebeard,
Shiki?
no, just forget about that. I'm just talking about the statement.
Shiki.
I know, but the statement refers to generally what Roger wants to do. They don't stop him from doing what he wants. I just used the Odin
Because
point
he's
to
the
back that up.
captain.
Okay, yes, exactly. He wanted to fight
He's
Odin at the
reckless.
time, so they
They
let
have
him
to
fight
follow
Odin.
their captain's orders. That's
he
fine.
wants to fight He wants to fight Whitebeard, so that's why no one else was intervening when they were clashing. I would say
because
if
that
he
was
wants to fight
his
Whitebeard,
orders.
yeah. So then why would they intervene with it? That's why you asked me to prove why Roger would fight Whitebeard the entire time. This is my proof.
He could have easily just moved on after a few clashes.
Why would he?
I'm making a proposition, not an
fighting.
assertion.
But why?
I'm making a proposition, not an assertion.
Well, then I would say that's I have the more likely interpretation here that he would continue fighting him because the enemy is not done. He wasn't knocked out. He wasn't blown back.
And also,
what do you mean not really?
Also,
he
listen.
was still continuing
and also,
to fight him.
no. Let me give the reason why not really.
Sure,
because
sure,
he didn't give. Did he give the order to Did he tell them that I want to fight Whitebeard? You guys move along. He only said this to Odin.
It doesn't matter if he wants to fight him. They didn't say.
Did he say that? Did he say that about Odin? Did he say that about Odin?
Can I finish?
No. Answer my question. Yes or no. Then you can stop. Answer my question.
Yes or
You're not gonna move on from the question.
What's the question?
The question was, did he tell them to back off? I'm gonna fight Whitebeard. Did he say that? Okay, you can talk.
Okay, great. It doesn't matter if he said. Sorry. Let me try to re-say what I was just supposed to say. All right, I remember. It doesn't matter if he said, "Step back. I want to fight Whitebeard." Because in the statement in which I sent, in which he says, we've known Roger for years, we've never once stopped him from doing what he wants. It doesn't say we've never once stopped him from doing what he orders us to tell him. It's just what we know he wants to do. We haven't intervened, okay? That's why when he immediately went out to fight Roger, we don't see anyone else like jumping in this scene or the scene after to try to take out Whitebeard while his back is turned or whatever, or while he's clashing with Roger. We see them going after each other because that's what Roger wants. So it's fair to say that this would carry over in the fight, and there's no reason there's no reason why he would move on to someone weaker when he could just fight Roger or Whitebeard, which is what we've known them to do throughout their many different battles.
Prove it.
I don't know how many. Prove what? I just told you it's fair to assert.
I'll tell you
I
what
just
to
gave
prove.
the evidence for that.
Sure, I'll tell you what to prove.
Oh my
I'll tell you what
god.
to prove.
Yeah,
I'll tell
exactly,
you what to
Tommy.
prove.
No, I don't need you to tell me what to prove because I feel like I've already proved it. This is the more likely interpretation.
Okay, so you
my
so
side.
no, because we drew equal interpretations right now.
I do
Because
not
no,
agree
you
with that.
haven't. No, we have equal interpretations. Do you want me to explain
How so?
why? Because you have
Yeah,
no
sure.
solid proof. All you're going off a headcanon right now. You're
I'm
assuming.
not going off headcanon.
Let me.
Okay,
Don't cut me off, bro. Don't cut me off.
Okay, fine,
Slow.
fine.
Slow. No, I'm gonna say why you're going off a headcanon. Because
Go
you're assuming that Roger would want to fight Whitebeard the entire time. For example, we see, hold on, we see that they state what he wants. I won't deny that. However, what if, like, I'm bringing up a proposition, not an assertion. Be reminded, okay? What if he just moved on from Whitebeard to fight somebody else? This is shown throughout Marineford.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure, ask me the question.
Okay. Like I told you with the Marineford example, from what I'm from like the specific context that you're giving me in this case, in which was like one or two, like one top tier in this case being Whitebeard. Like the Marco thing doesn't matter when we're specifically talking about Whitebeard. I just said the Marco thing. No, I'm literally just talking about Whitebeard in this specific instance. No. Okay, please do not interrupt me. I'll explain why it doesn't matter, okay? Let me just rephrase the question that I was going to ask, okay?
Go ahead.
Oh, fuck, I forgot. Okay, you know what? Let me just try to think of it, okay? Whitebeard and Roger, in this case, there's Whitebeard and Roger, those two being the top tiers. Now, in this case, there's Whitebeard and there's like 3 different admirals. From what I remember, he hit Akainu into the ravine, he fell, and obviously then other people started to attack him. You told me just now that what if Roger moved on to someone else, like Whitebeard did in Marineford? Well, first of all, that doesn't give us any insight into why Roger would want to switch to different people, as well as the fact that Whitebeard was not out of commission. There's no reason as to why Whitebeard would continue to fight someone else when we know that he wanted to fight Whitebeard. And I can say that we know we wanted to fight Whitebeard because he clashes with him. He doesn't do something that he doesn't want to do. We see him smiling just like Whitebeard does. They're friends, they're rivals, they like to fight each other, okay? Unless Whitebeard was out of commission, and I'd like to ask if you can prove that. You know, you don't have to if you don't want to. That's fine. But
let me give my okay.
The example that you gave with Marineford would not
you're
carry
repeating
over.
yourself. You're repeating yourself.
No,
okay.
I just finished.
Okay. All right. Yeah. First of all, I would just like to say you're kind of taking that out of context because what I said was you're taking what I said out of context. What I said was in their first encounter. All right. After that, they moved on, and this is shown throughout many battles throughout Marineford. I've said this. Don't try and I've said this. I've said there's many examples of this during Marineford. I've said that. Tamaki, can you quote me on that? Did I say that?
Can you give me some like you just said, and like you're repeating yourself now? I feel it's not what I had. You gave me the example of him fighting Akainu, and I said Akainu went into a ravine, and then other people started to attack him, right? Now I say that's different, 100% different from the example that I've given here for the reasons that I outlined.
Yeah, you're saying that's okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go into detail again because that'd be repetitive.
Their first encounter. I was talking about their first encounter specifically.
Can you pull up the scans for that then, so we can analyze this then, if that's like your main point?
Sure.
Because I think it's not.
No, I have like a lot.
Yeah, sure. Wait. Actually, first, before you do that, let me ask you something. Why would what Whitebeard does matter in this case? Or sorry, let me rephrase that. Why would what Whitebeard does or does not do in Marineford, given the circumstances, matter when we're asking what Roger's mindset is when going into a fight?
I'm not making any assertions. You're the one making.
No, I'm asking. If you're not making an assertion, then there's no.
No, I'm saying that this is consistent throughout the story.
Marineford, yeah,
I'm saying that this is consistent throughout the story.
Example, yeah, if you're using Marineford as an example to back up your point, then it's something that you would need to prove. Why would Whitebeard's? Yes, it is.
You're making the positive that Roger
I'm not making a positive claim
because I'm asking. Yes, you are. You're making the positive.
No, you're trying to twist. Okay. You gave.
I'm not twisting anything.
Come on,
bro.
Can I just say something, please?
Go ahead.
You said. I'm asking you right now. what does Whitebeard's
Mm-hmm.
what he did during Marineford, why does that matter when it comes to Roger? And if you don't have this, don't say I didn't assert that. Just if you think that it doesn't matter, then you can say that. I'm just gonna ask you, do you think it matters what Whitebeard did during Marineford? Why would that
It doesn't.
if that would carry over to Roger?
It
Would
doesn't.
that carry
It
over?
doesn't.
Okay.
Like
It doesn't?
literally,
Okay.
I
If it
know. I
doesn't, then
know
it
why
doesn't
I'm
matter.
doing this.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Let
fine.
me bring this up. Let me bring this up. Like literally, your entire argument is based off of headcanon. Okay.
Okay, I
Yeah,
gave reasoning as to
it's
why it
literally
wasn't based
headcanon.
off of
No, that's
why.
headcanon. That's headcanon.
How?
If he's
How?
not
You're just
shown,
saying it's
if he's
headcanon.
not, no. If there's no evidence showing that they
No,
were
that's an
fighting the
appeal to
entire time,
ignorance.
then that's
You're saying
headcanon. No,
because
it's
there's no
not.
evidence
Off
showing
of
it cannot
what? Off of
possibly be
that?
the case. An
Off of
appeal to
what?
ignorance is saying because we haven't seen evidence, direct evidence for it, then it cannot possibly be the case. But I'm giving you
That's
logical
not an
reasoning. There's
appeal.
more
That's not an
than
appeal
one.
to.
There's
That's not an
more.
appeal
Listen,
to.
there's more.
No, that's
There's
not an appeal
more.
to
Can I
ignorance.
finish my sentence? There's more than one form of evidence, okay? I'm giving you reasoning as to why I could say they fought for the entire time. And you tried to contradict it by bringing up the point about Whitebeard and Marineford, and then I just asked you, why would it, I just asked you, would it matter if what Whitebeard does in Marineford affect Roger's mindset and his, like, how he thinks during, like, this, scan that I sent, and you said it doesn't, so now I'm wondering why that rebuttal you gave even mattered in the first place.
Yeah,
I
it
gave
didn't
reasoning as
matter.
to why. Okay,
It
if you
was
think,
irrelevant.
okay,
It
okay,
was
great,
completely
okay, great,
irrelevant.
okay,
Now let
yeah,
me
if
bring
it's
up.
relevant,
No,
that's
let me
fine.
bring up the first. Let me bring up the completely
Wait one
first
second. Let me
thing.
ask you something. It's just about whether you think that we should conclude on this point because I think it's run its course.
No, I don't. Because
Okay.
you've made an entire
What?
argument and you didn't allow me to rebuttal, and now you're saying let's go to conclusions.
I
Come
did
on.
allow you to rebuttal. You gave rebuttals. You just said your rebuttal
No, I'm
was
saying
irrelevant.
right
So,
now because you just no.
okay,
I'm saying
okay.
that.
If you have new rebuttal, go ahead.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, you're saying my show was an argument from ignorance. It's not an argument from
It
ignorance. Let me
doesn't.
read the definition. It
Hey, I
asserts
don't
that a
care. Hey, wait a second.
proposition is true. Or so you don't care for that?
Westbound.
Okay. Okay, that's fine.
No. Let me clarify. Okay. This
Okay.
whole that what I was just talking about was in reference to the question that I just asked you about whether your point before was relevant or not. You said it was relevant. If you want to give new points, that's fine. Let's just move on to those new points, okay? I don't want to dwell about past semantics.
Okay. So basically, you made an extremely interesting point, and that Roger, why would like Whitebeard and Marineford, why would Roger act like that? Why would Roger have the same thing like that? He's a different character. I think that's very interesting in the fact that I can use that against you and say, why would Whitebeard do that? Because as we know Whitebeard's mannerisms from old Whitebeard. Like I'm not using anything from Prime. I'm using the version of Whitebeard you're using, right? The version of Whitebeard we see fight in a war. I'm saying his mannerisms during that war would lead me to conclude that in a war against the four other Yonkos, he would do the exact same thing. And I'm gonna say your same thing can apply
By
to
exact same thing,
your
what do
same
you mean?
thing, your
By
same
exact same
your
thing.
same argument that
What
how
argument?
would we know that Roger would act the same way Whitebeard did during Marineford, right? That was your argument, and I'm saying that same thing can be applied to Whitebeard. That can be
In
applied to
what
Kaido.
way?
That can be applied
Can
to
you
the Shanks.
clarify?
That can be
Can you clarify?
it can be applied to every single one of those characters because every single one of those characters have different mannerisms and have different ways of going about things. For example, Whitebeard, we know how he acted during Marineford. It's reasonable to assume that he would act the same way during the war with the four Yonkos. That's the only piece of evidence.
I think
Hold
you're
on,
very confused about
hold
what I
on.
was saying. I think you're misinterpreting my argument completely. And
No, no,
before
no,
you
no, no,
go
no,
on
no,
that
no,
point, I just want to
no, no, no,
clarify.
no, 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 no. I'm using. Let me finish, okay, and then you can tell me if I'm wrong.
I don't
So
want you to go way off bounds, but whatever.
no, because I know exactly what you said. You said,
I did.
why would Roger act the same way as Whitebeard would during Marineford? Is that not what you said? That's
What I
exactly what
asked
you
you
said.
was,
You verbatim said that.
I
And
said, given your interpretation of how Whitebeard acted, why would Roger do the same thing? Sure. And I have reason to back up the claims that you're asking me to prove right now, if that's what
yeah,
you
why
want.
would okay? Then I'm saying that same thing can be applied to every
Okay,
single one of
great.
these.
Thank you.
Why would
Thank you.
that? Why
So
would
just to be
that
clear,
mannerisms? Oh my God! Let
okay,
me
okay,
no
great.
no 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 because you're gonna twist this. So let me
I'm not gonna twist
clarify.
this.
All right, then let me
I'm just gonna
clarify.
ask you.
Let me
Okay, go ahead, go ahead,
clarify.
go ahead. Go ahead, go
Okay,
ahead, go
so I'm
ahead.
saying that that same thing can be applied to, let's say, yeah. Whitebeard. Okay. Right.
Okay.
That can be applied to Whitebeard. That can be applied to Kaido. That can be applied to Big Mom. That can be applied to Shanks. Right.
Applied to
You
Shanks.
can't make
Okay.
you can't make an assertion that all four of them would be clashing with one another during said war. Now we can move on to conclusions if you don't have any.
Okay. No.
Do you have contention? Do you have contention?
I
Do
wanted
you
to
have
ask.
contention?
No. I
Do you have
told you I
contention?
do have contention. I
Okay,
told
go
you
ahead.
that I
Go
wanted to
ahead.
ask you questions and then move
Do you
on.
know? Do you know what I said? Do you know what I said?
Don't.
What I said was,
Don't
if
try
you
to
don't
force
have
conclusions,
contention,
okay?
I said if you don't have contentions, we can
Let
move on to
me
conclusions.
let
So
me
if you do
have
have
my
contention, say what
contention,
you want.
okay? I do.
Go ahead.
Can I ask you first? Okay, goddamn. Let me ask you first a clarifying question about what you want me to prove. For fuck's sake, which was what I was trying to do earlier. But either way, that's this or that. So what you want me to prove is you want me to prove that Whitebeard, I'm sorry, not Whitebeard, Shanks, Kaido, and Big Mom in a war would go after each other first, given the means.
No, I said why would they?
Why would they? Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Perfect. All right. And I don't know why you tried to use the example of why would Rogers this and that. Okay, it's fine if you wanted to, but I don't think it makes any sense because we've literally seen them. All right, let me just restart and just say it from right here, okay? I'll give you my reasoning.
Do that.
We see them going against each other all many different times, okay? We see, like I said, Kaido and Big Mom clashing against each other, the top tiers going against each other. We see Shanks clashing with Whitebeard. We see Whitebeard and his quote unquote mannerisms, which is the word that you like to use, always try to take out the top dog of the opponent's crew or fight against them first. Okay, I don't have the scan on me. I'm trying to find it right now. If you really want the scan, I can find it for you.
Wait, when did Shanks ever clash with Blackbeard?
Wait a second. I didn't say Blackbeard. I did not say that.
What did you say? Oh, Whitebeard.
I said Whitebeard.
Okay,
but first, let me try to give you my Whitebeard example, okay? Remember during the the scan I sent of Roger fighting Whitebeard during like that little like 3-day battle, like that war.
Okay.
Like there's like several chapters beforehand or something. Odin was approaching the crew, and then Whitebeard like told his crew to back up, and then he says, and then he goes out and he takes on Odin himself because he senses like a strong presence. Okay, so we see that in this specific example, and once again, I'm only gonna send the scan if you don't remember it because I can't. Yeah, I think we both remember the scan. In this situation, we see that Whitebeard's mannerisms.
Wait,
what scan?
What scan?
The scan of Odin first approaching Whitebeard and his crew,
Yeah,
and then Whitebeard taking him on. That's an example in which Whitebeard would be fighting the strongest opponents given what he sees in front of him. So that would be why Whitebeard and his, quote unquote mannerisms would fight Kaido first, would fight Shanks first, would fight Big Mom first, etc. And that's also why when they had their little, scuffle on the boat and they split the skies, that's why that's why Shanks clashed with Whitebeard instead of Marco stepping in or somebody else. And that's the reasoning that I give. And we see the same thing carry on with Big Mom and Kaido. And I think I already included all the Yonko. I don't know who else there is. I think that's the only example.
Yeah, basically every single one of those examples were not a war, right? They were not wars.
What do you mean?
Every single
example that I'm giving you
was not a war.
For
example, no, because I'm using Whitebeard's. What I'm actually doing is I'm using Whitebeard's mannerisms during a war. What you're doing is using Whitebeard's mannerisms when he's up against somebody else. Yeah, mannerisms.
Right, can I say something before? Can I say something, please? In response to this?
Go ahead.
All right, thank you. Mannerisms carry over no matter which circumstance they may be in this specific context. Because if we see that Whitebeard is fighting the strongest opponent that he sees visible to him or that's within the range, and he tells his crew to back up because he knows that none of his other crew will be able to like take on this specific opponent, and that's why he does it. And like I already told you, the Yonko are the strongest in the primes of their crew.
Okay.
That's why. No, I'm not repeating myself. I'm just trying to outline this specifically. I don't want you to interrupt me, please. That's why, if in a war, it'd be the exact same circumstance in which Whitebeard fights his opponent, or which Kaido fights the strongest opponent, etc., etc. And even if someone weaker were to step in right off the bat, it wouldn't matter, because they would just be defeated, and then Kaido would eventually have to take them on. Kaido, if given a war with Big Mom, it doesn't matter if he would originally fight them being the strongest, but even though I think he would eventually have to. That's what I'm saying.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically,
I'm
you
tired.
said that. Also, after this point, do you want to just like postpone the debate? Like, I'm getting tired.
No, I just want to finish this, bro.
We got two
Actually,
more
let's just finish the
points.
first point. Yeah, let's just finish the first
Yeah,
point and then move on
and
to
then
another
we
point.
move on to another point.
A different day, if you
Yeah,
want.
different
Wait,
day.
let me
That's
just check.
fine.
Let me just check. Let me just check the thing real quick. So the 3
Yeah.
points, old Whitebeard above, or and then there's just yeah. All right. Continue. What was your question?
Shit, I kind of forgot.
But yeah, I agree.
Let
Yeah,
me
we
think
should
about
do
it. Hold
that.
on, let me think about it.
Yeah, sure. But you're
Yeah,
right. I think we should do that.
yeah, that sounds way better and less like, cause I'm getting tired.
Yeah. And then he can give conclusions on that point, and then we'll move on. Like he can do it tomorrow or some
Actually,
shit.
I
Like,
think we're kind of going. Do you agree that we're kind of being circular?
I think that we generally are. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should just
Yeah.
conclude. You're
Can
fine
I
with
just?
conclusions?
Do you think that we should? Actually, can I just give another point?
Oh my goodness, bro! I was about to bring another point, but I
Fine,
didn't want
fine,
to do
fine,
it.
fine. Fuck
Yeah,
this.
I literally had
You
another
go.
point, but I
You
didn't
go
want to do
first,
it.
since I started first, and then I'll conclude.
Okay, let me just like
I need
remember
I need
all the
time to think
points.
about what I said. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just give me
same.
just take 5 minutes, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Um.
Mhm.
No, we're just typing for our own benefit, and we'll say it out
Yeah,
loud,
so we
Tamaki.
could like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, just bear with us. Thank you. No, just keep it going, Tamaki, for the conclusion.
Just keep going until we have
Yeah,
conclusions.
it'll only just be a little bit more. The hard part's over for now. And out of the 3 points that I wanted to talk about, Westbound, this was like the most part.
Yeah,
So
this was the most.
smooth sailing from here.
Yeah, I definitely feel like because I listened to kind of the Pilkey versus
Oh, I did not even
listener
bother,
debate.
bro. It was so fucking.
No, I'm remembering off of what I heard like the first time they debated.
Bro,
I don't even have any
I have a
recordings.
10-page document about it, and it was just cancer.
You do? Oh my
Well, because I
god.
was the judge. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you were. I forgot. Damn. Oh yeah, you're judging that.
4 days. Oh, also, Tamaki, can you please go through the chat with like a video just to show that we sent scans for like what we
Yeah.
sent scans for, just for
Hmm.
like proof?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that'd be perfect. Thank you. Cam's, oh, perfect. Just like scroll up and down. That'd be perfect. Thank you. Yo, is this typing annoying you? I can't tell how loud it is.
No, I barely hear it.
Oh, did you just send something in the chat? Oh,
Okay, I'm almost done. Like, I'm literally summing up the last point.
just give me like a minute or two.
Yeah, I'm done. You want me to start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Uh, Let me read this. All right. The first subpoint was basically that the Yonkos in wartime were relative. I argued equal interpretations, which ended up in agreement to it being during a war. This is the first and second scans, and third scans, I'm pretty sure. I believe. Then the fifth scan, shown which was Kaido was still waiting for a chance to get rid of the other emperors at this point. We agreed was not referring to it could not be referring to individual strength, and it could be referring to them fighting with the crews. I gave my substantiation why, right? He held no refutations to this. Then he for this, like he was supporting this with the fact that Big Mom and Kaido was clashing. I brought up the fact that this was base Kaido. He didn't have any contentions to this being base Kaido. He said something weird, but it didn't really attack my point very well, I believe. After that, is there individual strength? Yeah. So that still just like doesn't support his fifth scan at all. And then he then made the claim that Big Mom was on another level than Kaido's crew. I asked him to prove it. He proved it. I steelman this as it really didn't affect my argument very much, as well as the fact that I'm actually going to use this to further my arguments later, in a later point. Next, we went over. Yep. Then we went on like sort of a tangent about the way Roger would act in a war. I steelman this after we made multiple irrelevant points that really didn't matter. Then I brought up the points. I was basically saying, okay, so how can we make any assertions of how certain people would be acting during war times, right? His only refutation to this was that Whitebeard, he was fighting the top dog, for example, when he was fighting Odin and Shanks. My refutation to this was that this was not a war, rather it was individuals, right? So he couldn't really express how he would act in a war against certain individuals, correct? And then we also have the fact that he didn't provide any substantiation of how Shanks, Kaido, or Big Mom would be acting during a war. Not at all. And then also the way Whitebeard acted during Marineford goes against this agenda that he only goes for the top dog and just like guns down the top dog. He had no refutations to this. That's my conclusion.
All right.
I'll type the topic.
There was some things that I wanted to disagree with, but I just want to let you know that I didn't say anything. So when I give this conclusion, please do not interrupt me, okay? I'd really appreciate that.
I'm gonna
If
mute
you could
myself.
Just mute yourself.
I'm muting myself.
I'll do my best not to strawman you. If you think that I strawman you or shotgun you, we can talk about that, with movies after.
Yeah,
all right,
movies after. That's fine. That's fine.
Please just
I won't.
don't say anything,
I will not.
okay?
I swear to God, I won't.
All right, and it may. Sorry, I'm just kind of like it may make me a second to like think out the arguments as I'm saying them. So just like okay. Ready? I'm gonna start my thing right now. Hi, I just want to start off my conclusion just by saying that like he agreed that the Yonko are the strongest pirates individually. He just didn't think that they would match evenly. I just want to have that out there because I'm gonna reference it later on. Okay. His main contention to my scans were that the Yonko, his main contention to my scans were that the Yonko are only equals when it comes to an overall war, not 1v1. I sent multiple scans, and Tamaki, real quick, I have Shiki, he has Kaido. I sent multiple scans just to start off in which it says, the Yonko are the strongest pirates individually, like in a war, or it just says when they're fighting, there would be high casualties. We like, we both like kind of like agreed that it would be in the sense of a war, as well as I also thought that it would be in the sense of individually fighting 1v1. Okay, so first to address that, I gave reasoning as to why the Yonko would fight in a 1v1 if it came to like a war. I said it was because no one else will be able to contest them. The first example that I gave was instances of smile users and one of Big Mom's children being knocked out by Conker's Hockey, which was the response of his argument that Shiki has a numbers advantage during the Ed War, which was kind of like his way of saying like a large number of fodder or like general troops would be which would pose a threat to Kaido or his crew, and that would like tip the scales in one of their favors. But he gave no contention to this Conker's Hockey evidence. So that's just the first point. The next thing that I said, for no one being able to contest the Yonko besides another Yonko, was showing instances in which Kaido's top tiers, such as Queen, which is a first commander or an all-star, could not even stand a chance against a weakened Big Mom when Queen was using his full power. There was no contention to this either. And the scans in which I sent, it says like Queen, I literally said Queen is literally scared shitless. He thinks he's gonna die. His like full like charge like Zoan attack did nothing to hurt Big Mom. So that was the second point. And I also referenced Big Mom one-shotting Ulti, who is a Tobiropo, who is also one of the top tiers of Kaido's crew. And I also referenced Big Mom's crew not being able to stop her during her Hunger Page rampages, which once again there was no contention to. So all of this would prove that the Yonko would need to fight when it comes to the war because no one else would be able to contest with them. And then we went on this really weird, like on and off point about how Roger acts in the war and how Whitebeard like would relate to that. And he gave an example about like Whitebeard's like mannerisms in Marineford and how that would mean he wouldn't fight Roger right off, and asked me to prove that the Yonko would right off the bat fight each other. And he said I gave no examples for this. Well, first of all, I asked him verbatim, does that point about how Whitebeard acts relate to Roger? He said no, and that it really was irrelevant. So like that whole like confusion point, you can kind of just like forget about that. But what he does want me to prove is that the Yonko would immediately fight each other in a war. But I was thinking about it, and it doesn't even matter. I did give examples about them clashing constantly and why they would fight each other off the bat. But it doesn't matter if they can fight each other off the bat, because since I proved and he gave no contention to the fact that no one else is able to contest the Yonko, like I said in the beginning of my conclusion, he even said the Yonko are the strongest pirates individually. No one else is able to contest them. So, like, if it were to come to a war hypothetically, everyone else would just like try to fight the Yonko. They'd be taken out, and then the Yonko would have to fight each other if in a 1v1, because there'd be no one else left basically at that point. So at some point the Yonko would fight each other 1v1. It doesn't really matter when. It doesn't have to be right off the bat. That's like the main thing we talked about. And then he wants me to prove that the Yonko are equals when it comes to 1v1. I gave instances of them clashing, Big Mom and Kaido, as well as Shanks and Whitebeard. And he said that was only base. I said we see it as in base. That doesn't automatically mean that it doesn't relate to what's it called? It doesn't automatically relate to them being their zones. In instances of a war, I said they would have to use their full power. But the examples of Whitebeard clashing with Big Mom is the same as Shanks clashing with Whitebeard, in which they